Hello everybody, what is up? I'm Chance, and let's get back into our life beginnings and always. Let's do it. So, what now? You silently wondered if Elizabeth only stayed out with you to avoid getting roped into work. Then again, she could just genuinely want to hang out. You couldn't tell with your sister. Cove spoke up after no one else did to answer Elizabeth's question. Want to go down to the shopping street? It's been a while, and I don't think there's a lot of other things we could agree on. Yeah, sure. Awesome. Sounds awesome to me. Unlike you guys, I haven't been there 1,001 times. It's new to me. Let's do it, okay? If you guys really want to. That's nothing else. There's nothing else to do. We're gonna be positive here. We're gonna be like, let's do it, cause I want to go as well. You strolled across the road as a group, down to the beach and then to the left. It took less than 15 minutes to arrive, one of the conveniences of Sunset Bird. The four of you looked around at the familiar shops, trying to see if anything caught your attention this time. Derek was the most enthusiastic. He checked out every stall with his eyes wide with wonder. Elizabeth and Cove were in good spirits as well. That's cool! He ran over to a street magician. Is this the amazing Alexander? Who was currently doing a card trick for a group of enchanted tourists. Derek clapped when the magician showed a middle-aged man his card. Derek turned back to the group with a curious gleam on his face. What does it take to perform here anyway? Do you have to ask somebody, or do you just show up and start doing stuff? Who would you even ask? It's a public street. Hey, Miss Mare, can I pull a rabbit out of my hat, please? Flopsy is well behaved, I promise. Elizabeth, holy crap. Derek chuckled, his eyes searching up and down the scene. Maybe there's a boss of the shopping street? No one does any of this around my neighborhood. It's just regular stores behind walls. It's different if someone wants a real store. But here, I'm pretty sure people are just putting on their little shows whenever they want and do whatever. That's so neat. Would we be allowed to do something too? Cove laughed and Derek began almost vibrating with excitement. Elizabeth rolled her eyes. What would we do? Well, I don't know what. Not yet. I mean, I just found out it's a possibility, you know? But there's gotta be something. We know, cool stuff. I'm sure if we think about it, we could plan a show that'd really get a crowd pumped. You thought it was a great idea and wanted to be a part of it. You felt he could try this idea on his own. You thought Derek needed to abandon that idea stat. You gave a look to the other two. Yes, it's a great idea and we want to be a part of it. I'm in. Woo! Nice. I knew I could count on you. Now we just need the act. It'll come to us. Right. With some amusement, the gang continued to peruse the stalls. Elizabeth found some earrings with a dangling, badly misprinted globe that everyone laughed at. Cove picked out a blob as Iceland, but Derek thought that it had to be Greenland. You know, this is a world with what looks like 9 continents. I think you're both wrong. You wanted to side with Cove, you backed up Derek, you agree with your sister, no, it's Australia, you stayed out of it. Alright, so, a really cool person commented on my last video that there is an option to use your middle mouse button scroll wheel to go up and down, back and forth, and this whole time I didn't even realize it. So I'm going to try, at least for this playthrough, I'm going to try to avoid using that as much as possible, but this is one that I really want to utilize it on, Because I first want to say, no, it's Australia, just to see what happens. But then I want to go back and I want to side with Cove and see what happens. So we're going to do it. We're going to see. We're going to find out. So, no, it's Australia. The other 3 giggled at your interjection. Oh, all right, hold on. Let's go backwards. Let's go backwards. Let's go backwards. All right. You wanted to side with Cove. It looks like Iceland to me. Right? So I don't know which one I liked better. I kind of like that I got to interact with Cove more, so we'll keep going with that one. But yeah, that's a really cool feature. I don't know if I just missed it somehow, like in the beginning tutorial or something, but thank you so much to that person who pointed that out to me, and now I am spreading that information just in case there is anybody else who didn't know that's playing the game. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. Anyways, Cove is freezing right now, so let's go back to that. Suddenly, Cove froze. You stared at him and then tried to see what caught his attention. When you saw a familiar face down the way, it all made sense. Is it Jeremy? Is this Jeremy? Between the crowds, his bright hair stood out like a neon green bowl in a kitchen sink. It was Jeremy. Jeremy slowly drifted his eyes down the street, and his eyes widened in mutual recognition. He definitely noticed you. Derek frowned and Cove sighed. Neither of them were happy to see him again. You stood there shocked. You glared at Jeremy. You waved at Jeremy. You decided to smile at Jeremy. You looked away. We are taking the high ground. We're going to not be like actively doing it, I guess, by waving at him, because we don't necessarily want to wave him to us, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? But we are going to smile at him. He just looked dismissive. I should have used the one scroll wheel to go back and see what the others do. It's fine. Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. Her gaze swept over Jeremy without a hint of a clue. Jeremy simply scoffed to himself and waded deeper into the crowd of people. Derek relaxed and exhaled loudly. I'm glad he's not gonna start anything. He peeked over at Elizabeth with a tiny smirk. See, that was the mean kid.
What?
Huh? She still didn't get it. That first summer day hadn't made nearly as much of an impression on her as it did for Derek, but he smiled and waved it off. Just forget about him. I already have. He laughed, and Cove smiled lightly. He seemed in a much better mood now that Jeremy was gone. Your eyes wandered over to where Jeremy disappeared. You hadn't forgotten the day you met him either. He was only going to be in town for a vacation with the parents he hated. That glimpse was probably the last time you would ever see him. You mentioned that realization to everyone. You kept the thought to yourself. Well, let's mention it. Jeremy's probably gone for good now. It's time for him to go back to wherever he's from. Yeah, guess we won't have to worry about that guy anymore. Aww. Derek kicked at a little rock in the road. It clattered forward and then rolled under a stall. But I still think it's kind of sad Jeremy turned out to be, well, like he is. It would have been nice to make another friend. That's true. Could we have made him our friend? In this? Cove shook his head. He was clearly not broken up over what might have been. Good riddance. I think I might want to see him again sometime. Maybe he'll become nicer in the future. I'm happy it's over. You stayed quiet. Let's be optimistic and say maybe he'll become nicer in the future. Elizabeth rolled her eyes at the strange farewell to the odd boy. not interested in the slightest. She clearly didn't understand his impact, and at this point she didn't want to understand. You couldn't help but wonder though, what would have happened if you would have interacted with Jeremy more? Jeremy was unlike anyone you had ever met before. You thought he was horrible, you thought he was weird, you thought he was stupid, you thought he was kind of pitiful, you thought he was kind of okay, you didn't know what to think about him. I'm going to say, I think all of these for the most part, except for maybe kind of pitiful, I don't know, that just doesn't seem right. All of these I think could be kind of okay to say, but my favorite one is you didn't know what to think about him. Because we don't know enough about him. All we know is that we met him one day. He was a butthole. I was a butthole. So I think there's more to Jeremy, as much as he grinds my gears. You and the group moved on from the stall and from Jeremy. It didn't take long for everyone to return to the joking. You all enjoyed what little time you had left, as Elizabeth mentioned the hour was almost up. The little trip had flown by, and lunch must have been waiting for you now. Derek bounced on the balls of his feet. Come on, guys. Let's get going so we can eat. I'm starving. If we have to. I can't wait. Phew, I've had enough walking around. Homebound, here we go. You nodded silently. Homebound, here we go. Cove stretched one of his arms lazily. Let's go then. You looked at him appraisingly. You asked Cove to carry you back to the house. You nodded at him. Should we make him carry us? Would he actually do it? Let's ask him to carry us back. Hey, Cove. Yeah? Could you carry me back home? They gave him like a double blink animation. He went... Oh my god. What? Cove's smile said he was amused, while the tilt of his eyebrow was full of disbelief. You explained you wanted a piggyback ride, you didn't want to walk back, you told him it was a special occasion, you decided to let it go. Yeah, we want a piggyback ride. I want a piggyback ride, and you're the only one big enough to give me one. Cove sighed and shook his head. Elizabeth and Derek became a chorus of laughter. Come on, Cove. It'll be fun. Alright. He's actually going to! Cove stepped over to you. He looked like he couldn't believe what he was doing. Your lips quirked into a large smile. Aw, yeah, thanks. He carefully crouched down in front of you so that you could climb on. It wasn't hard to hop on. He slipped his arms under your legs and did his best to lift you. It was wobbly, but he managed to stand all the way up. Elizabeth watched with a smirk on her face while Derek laughed even harder. It was fair to say that your antics were entertaining. You were glad Cove went with it. Cove carried you home contently. Other than a few good-natured jokes at your expense, he didn't complain. He made it all the way back to your house without putting you down. That is so freaking cute. Oh my god. It was a pleasant walk home, and in no time, you had made it back. Didn't it say it's like a 15-minute walk to get there? That would be a long time to carry someone on your back. Derek got the front door and held it open for everyone as you each moseyed inside. The three parents were still in the kitchen. They looked up and waved. Welcome back, everyone. You made it just in time. I hope you're hungry. When Cove had brought you inside, the parents couldn't help but notice the odd conveyance. Your moms were unsure, and Mr. Holden raised an eyebrow. Did you pull something, Jamie? I'm okay. Aw, Cove, you've gotten so strong. And reliable, too. What a guy. Cove rolled his eyes at the commentary, then started walking to your couch. He bent down and let yourself plop back on the couch. Thanks for the lift. It's so funny, I can't. Cove exhaled loudly and shook out his arms. He just seemed relieved that he made it. So, did everyone have a nice time out? She gestured for people to take a seat at the table. Plates and silverware have already been placed out. You took your normal seat. Elizabeth sat across from you, and Derek took the seat to your left. Cove sat on your right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had a great time. It was fine. I had fun. I really liked it. It was okay, I guess. Yeah, the bank heist went off without a hitch. I feel like we have to do that. Your joke got some chuckles going around the table. That's good in my book. Casually, Mr. Holden sat in the empty seat across from Cove. He smiled at you and all the other kids. Mom set down a platter full of water glasses on the table. She looked down at the gathering. Dang, we're like going all in. It's a good thing we have 8 chairs. I can't remember the last time we've had a group this big over for a meal. Can you pass the drinks down to the other side? Make sure you all get one. Sure. Those close to the cups obliged and started offering waters around. As everything got set up, Ma chided Elizabeth to take her elbows off the table.
No.
And you shouldn't slouch. She pointed to Mr. Holden, who was leaning forward with both arms on the table. Oops. Mr. Holden seemed unsure about all the sudden attention and carefully rearranged his posture to something suitable for a fancy dinner. He smiled sheepishly at Ma. Elizabeth rolled her eyes, and Ma gave a level look at her. You shouldn't be impolite to a guest in the house either. Elizabeth groaned, long suffering. Ma giggled, and Mr. Holden chuckled. The lot of you could learn a thing or two from Derek. He has the best manners here. Derek blushed, but it was true. His posture was upright and formal. He even held his fork gracefully. His table manners, on top of all his attempts to aid your parents, made him the model of meal-attendee behavior. It's nothing. It's true, though. You have been a lovely guest. I've noticed that, too. It's always nice when you stay over, Derek. Oh. Derek smiled and sat a little taller in his chair. And do you have anything good to say about our other guest? She looked deliberately at Cove with a teasing smirk. Or is there just nothing to say? Oh my god. Well, Cove is my number 1, but he does still clean his hands by wiping them on his pants. Cove frowned at that and absent-mindedly brushed his hand on his pant legs. Your mom laughed lightly. Elizabeth, you should know, after all these years, Cove is hardly a guest anymore. Cove smiled awkwardly. Thanks. Manners. Who cares? I don't think it's that big of a deal. You teased Cove for his bad habit. You complimented Derek on his politeness. You joked that Derek was basically an adult. You kept quiet and took a bite of food. You know what? Let's compliment Derek. I feel like we should compliment. It's cool how you know all those manner things. Oh, thank you. That's so funny. You seem more embarrassed by getting a compliment from a kid his age. That's true. That's true. That is a little bit weird. Everyone ate their meal together and continued to hang out for the afternoon. After the food, you and the others played a couple games and talked about plans for the upcoming year. The time passed by quickly, and soon it was time to part ways. Mr. Holden talked to your moms, and Cove drifted over to you, knowing that as soon as his dad finished up, he would be leaving. It'd be cool to stay, but we have some stuff to do before everything closes today. Yeah, bye. Could you move? I need the phone. Cove raised an eyebrow, and Elizabeth impatiently gestured behind him. Cove realized he was standing right in front of where the receiver was placed. He sidestepped out of the way and shook his head, clearly thinking Elizabeth was rushing too much. Your sister made a beeline for the phone and started dialing the number that you figured was one of her friends. Knowing Elizabeth, she was going to be on there for a while. You, Cove, and Derek shuffled closer to the door. It seemed like Mr. Holden was wrapping up his conversation, so everyone started saying their various farewells.
Talk to you later.
See you later, Cove. We gotta do this again sometime. Yeah, see you. Cove turned to you and smiled slightly. Bye, Jamie. You hugged Cove goodbye, you patted Cove on the back, you nudged Cove's shoulder, you ruffled Cove's hair, you waved. Alright, we're going to nudge Cove on the shoulder. You elbowed Cove's shoulder playfully. I'll see you later. I'd hope so. It's been fun. He grinned widely and nudged you back. There was a warm look in his eyes that you wondered when you'd see again. Aww. Seriously, dude. We'll have to hang out later. I'm gonna miss you during school. He offered Cove a high five and the two boys clapped their hands together. Aww. Cove and his dad left soon after that. Your parents started cleaning up the house and Elizabeth was still chatting to her friends on the phone. It was just you and Derek left. He elected to stay outside in the front of the house to wait for his dad to pick him up. You decided to keep your guest company, although he was originally Cove's visitor. A light summer breeze blew through your hair and Derek shifted his weight from foot to foot. Thanks for waiting with me. He kicked at the ground distractedly.
Well,
Dad's still gonna be a while, so do you want to go for a walk? Sure, I don't mind. The two of you walked down the street again, just wandering without a destination planned. It was a quiet stroll, too quiet for Derek being the company. You turned to him when you had noticed that he wasn't saying a word. That was unusual. Derek always had something he could chat about. You weren't sure if you should ask about it. Somehow you ended up at the old park near the beach. You glanced over to Derek once more, still expecting him to say something any second now. However, nothing came from him. In fact, now you noticed a frown creeping on his face. Derek smiled when he realized you were watching. At least his mouth was turned up. There wasn't anything that really felt happy in the expression. He turned away and the smile fell off his face. His eyes stared intently at the ground and you raised an eyebrow. Is everything okay? If you want to talk about something, I'm here. Derek, what's going on? You kept quiet. Is everything okay? I'm a little sad. It's just, with school starting back up again, it's gonna be harder to visit. I'm gonna have homework and clubs and practices and everything else.
sucks.
It really sucks we have to go to different schools. His face screwed up and his fists were closed tightly together. This was really concerning for him. What if we don't have time? You channeled some optimism into the conversation. You shared those worries. We're gonna channel our optimism. We'll make time. We can talk over the phone and have plans for weekends. It'll be okay. Derek looked up at the sky. It was orange and purple with the little wisps of clouds scattered around. A plane flew high with a jet stream trailing behind it. Oh my god. Then he turned to the ground again. Derek's face was tilted far enough down that it was harder to read his expression. Hey Jamie, I actually wanted to talk to you about something, if you don't mind. There was a pause and you waited for him to finish his thought.
Sorry.
I was just kind of wondering, do you like guys, like, at all? Like, would you ever want to be with someone who was a boy? Sorry if that's weird to ask. Oh! I could be with a guy? Maybe? I don't know. You didn't answer him. I kind of don't want to talk about that. I mean, I could deal with a guy. I feel like Jamie was like how we've been playing him. Like we've kind of been pretty upfront with how we feel about that to other people. So that's what we're going to do here. Okay, then he hesitated before finishing his question. So, what I mean is, is there any guy you think is kind of cool that you like around here? Not at school or anything like that. Wait. See, he ducked his head further. You thought about it. I like you. Well, I like Cove. Mr. Holden. There are a lot of guys I think are cool. Not right now. I don't really want to say that. Oh! This is where the video ends. Yeah, sorry. When I originally was filming it, I actually thought I was only going to have 2 parts to this section, and it ended up being much longer than I even originally realized. So here I am. Anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. This section was really fun, really curious, very curious at the ending. What is on Derek's mind? Where is he going with this? Future Chance knows where he's going with this. But you guys in Past Chance, if you didn't play the game, doesn't know. Anyways, if you liked the video, please give me one of those thumbs up and leave a comment down below on how curious Derek is being, or what do you think he's going to say, or where is he going with this? Derek, why? What is happening? How do we go from 0 to 100 so fast? Anyways, if you want to keep seeing more, please hit that subscribe button down below. And until next time, bye.